Everything. Yeah.
Oh, great.
We're receiving you. Internet is working.
Yes, and we will go live.
Yes.
Things to do. Yeah.
Great.
Okay, are we live? Yes, and welcome to Ship of a New Story. And right here we are actually on a dialogue arena. Not really, we're actually taking a lot of questions today from a dialogue all the way to testbed. So on a dialogue arena called Commons Valley, but also on a testbed for something that has been a long journey in Sweden called Almedalen. And together with me here today, I have 5 people who are all interested in the dialogue and the democratic conversation. And the idea here is to upgrade the systems we have for democratic dialogue. And this is the topic of today's event. And with me, I have on my own my far end, it's Linus Sköld. You're most welcome here. You're a member of the parliament in the Swedish parliament. And we have Dominic Bosman. You're head of an organization called Rethos, working with land tax, and you've actually been a party leader, I guess, for a small party in Sweden a couple of years ago. We have Yasemin Arhan Moderator, who is arranging a similar dialogue arena that we have here on the ship. And we have Stuhre, who is project leader for Almedalen, this fantastic event that we have experienced 50 years in Sweden. And then Michael Sillion, also known as Captain Future. My name is Stellan Nordahl, and I invite you all to this dialogue. Right now we're test-bedding a new way of having dialogues. And my first question to all of you is that when we talk about events or we talk about dialogue arenas like Almedalen or whatever, we often have an own experience that has been the most valuable for us connected to this. So my first question is, what is your relation or your memory or your own personal touch when I say Almedalen? What is Almedalen for you? Who wants to go first?
I'll go first, Stellan. So not being Swedish, when I came to Sweden, I was amazed to find that there was this idea of a common rights, what's called in Sweden allemansrätt, which means you can basically go where you like and stay where you like and sleep where you like, at least for one night. And it's quite unique. And soon after that, I discovered that there was this political week, like a huge festival of politics, where at least in theory, everybody who wants to can go and talk about politics to whoever they please. And in Sweden, there really is amazing access to any level of politician that you choose to. You can you could probably succeed in contacting the Prime Minister if you wanted to.
Thank you very much, Dominic. Who wants to go next? Yeah. Yeah. Who wants to go next? A personal reflection, maybe, on You're looking at me, Linus. So you can go.
Yeah, I think I can.
I can.
My reference or my
I can be the next
Almedalen
person
is
to describe, but
I think it's a lag.
Yeah, okay, there's a lag. Okay.
Yeah,
okay.
it's a vivid political discussion. Not always dialogue, though. Mostly people meeting in debates or panel discussions, maybe, but not dialogue per se.
Okay, thank you very much, Linus. So you wanted to go here, Mia. So now it's your turn then. So please, your own reflections on Almedalen. Give her a time here.
is it me?
Yes, if you like. It's your time. Yeah.
Yes. I think the Almedalen for me is people, it's meeting, it's energy, it's activism, it's all those good things that will be important for us to build a society and a democracy on. So actually, I really miss the people. I am right now in the Almedalen. It's me and maybe it's like 50, 80 persons here around sitting, have a picnic and playing at the playground and so on. But it's very empty. So I miss the energy. I miss the what do you say, the goodwill to really take the heart for Sweden, the heart for our democracy. Mm-hmm. I think that is one of our strong, both memory and what I feel.
Mm-hmm. Thank you very much. Your reflections on your relation to Almedalen, Yasemin, what would you say?
Well, in the middle of the production of like this alternative to Almedalen, I can tell you that I really miss the people, as you said, say Mia. It's even though we have a lot of interesting debates and seminars going on, and of course that is one part of Almedalen, that we actually raise awareness around so many several different subjects and areas where we hopefully can all the politicians to actually understand what is needed to be done. But obviously when you do it digitally, it has its good sides as well, but not the part where you actually meet people on the streets, as you said. I mean, it's really, you don't even get the applause. So it's we miss a lot of the parts that we have in Almedalen. I do believe that we, however, need to continue the important questions that are raised in Almedalen. So I hope that we will get back soon, Mia.
So do I.
Yeah, thank you very much, Yasemin. And Michael, your reflection on your relation to Almedalen?
Yeah, Almedalen is a fantastic, event from a network perspective, like a global perspective. And I'm always been going there with the global glasses on, and I brought some global friends like Arhan, Alavala last year, to like really see how do we scale up this on a global level, having open conversations all over the world where we can build a network society and share knowledge, information, and foremost the human quest of becoming more human. So.
My own relation to Almedalen and my strongest memory or strongest feeling was actually the wow feeling I got the first time I went to Almedalen 5 years ago, when I realized that this was a way of looking at yourself, on others, and on society that I didn't really experience in the day-to-day life, and which I would like to experience in the day-to-day life, where people actually had time for dialogue and questions. And as you said, Linus, you could actually talk to anyone there, and also you mentioned maybe even the Prime Minister, Dominic, and that's an interesting way of living, or whatever we call it, way of being. So that's what's my biggest wow. And right now we are seeing here that there are some initiatives like yours initiative in Malmö, Yasemin, where you actually continue the dialogues, maybe in another format, same as we do here. So what do you think about the alternatives? Is it an alternative, or is it a complement? How do you express it so far? I mean, this is the first day, of course, so we haven't like experienced it fully yet. So maybe this is a question to Yasemin, I guess.
And should I answer?
Yeah, I don't know. Give it a try. And I mean, again, you're
okay.
as probably as we have only
Let
experienced
me,
one day.
I can. I think it's a lot of lagging going on because I'm hearing myself like 2 minutes after I've talked. But anyways, yes, I would hopefully I would see this as a compliment, because I think that some things that arise now that we see that we can actually obtain through this weird situation that we've been put in, is that we can actually maybe send it out to more people. We can get more people to listen, and we can get more people on board in the discussions. Sometimes I can feel that people that we are talking about are not actually present in the discussions in Almedalen due to several reasons. They don't want to, they can't afford to, the organizer or whoever is arranging whatever, they don't have the money to actually invite everyone. And you can also see, for example, integration or elderly health for elderly, you can actually see people being the same person is around in several seminars, because you kind of just have that person as a witness or as an alibi. And I would say that if we could use actually that we have been used to digitalization in this way that we've done during this spring, to actually bring them on board in the discussions, even though they're not in Visby at that time or Almedalen, I think that could give us a much broader and much more maybe democratic arena. So I hope that that's something that we will bring with us.
Who wants to take that lead, continue on that?
Can I say something or just comment, Yasemin?
Yes, definitely.
Yeah, because I agree totally with you, because because I think, like you said, Yasemin, we are open up for people that are not really, what to say, the common people here. So maybe they can have a little view of what's going on here and be a part of the discussions. And then after a couple of years, they can be more common to get here and feel a part of the meetings and the dialogues here.
Yeah, Linus, you wanted to say something?
Yeah, I was just gonna, since you asked, I think I have an example of what possibilities this can bring. The workers' movement celebrate the May 1st each year, and we do it as I'm a social democrat, so I say we when I talk about the workers' movement. We do it with a march in each municipality, and this year we had to cancel all the marches. There were no physical meetings, but we reset and came back digital. In my local municipality, we had an event where we went live on Facebook. To this day, we have 700 views. If we had been on the square, we would have had like 30 people joining our meeting. So we have a wider range in this format. However, who can partake and who can participate is the key question, I think, because this is not as you mentioned, Almedalen is not for everybody. Not everybody can or will go to Almedalen and participate. And also the digital environment is not for everybody. We have a large chunk of our population that's excluded when things go online. The people with who lacks digital competence.
So here is something interesting, I would say, if we can elaborate on that, because very often we set things in opposition to each other. We say physical meeting or digital meeting. What if we said both and instead of either and or? What would then happen if we can merge those? I mean, of course we can have like technical issues and stuff like that, but that won't be an issue if we would have many ways of working instead of one way of working. So who can elaborate on this? Ideas or whatever?
Stellan, if I may. I think that one of the issues for me here is that we approach this problem possibly from the wrong direction. So there's an idea that there is a democracy, that there is a democratic discussion, a democratic platform that occurs on a particular date. And this has dominated the history of politics for centuries. That's one of the reasons why it's such an exclusionary model. And it's part of the reason why such a huge amount of the populace is either totally disinterested or directly opposed. And I say global populace in the sense rather than the Swedish populace. And within Sweden, we live in quite a comfortable little bubble where pretty much everybody agrees that democracy is really important, and by doing that, they are pretty much all in agreement about what democracy is. And I think we have to kind of start to pose questions in the form of whose democracy, what kind of democracy? How is it that it's quite acceptable to dismiss countries like Russia or Iran as democracies? How is it possible that we cannot accept that there are many different kinds of expression of democracy? And if we can begin to do that, we can possibly start to appreciate that when people don't feel safe to participate in discussions, possibly because in our current situation there's a lot of identity politics issues, you'll get shut down, you'll be called a racist or reactionary for having the wrong opinion. These are not ways in which to establish conversations, but they are ways in which to maintain a status quo. And I think that the political world where we are, the democratic discussions we are really characterized by fear, that we are terrified of the fact that we seriously do not know where the fuck we are and where we are going. And that when we can sit down and be vulnerable to those realities, then possibly the conversations can open up and exclude a much broader participatory audience. And that idea I discussed with you, Stellan, probably 5 years ago and suggested the idea of an Allmännadalen, which would translate to a commons valley, that instead of there being only this physical thing, that there were concurrently in every commune in Sweden, which is over 200 local authorities, that there could be local digitized, transmitted discussions going on that are not governed by some sort of consensus about what is an unacceptable conversation to have in politics today. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much for those ideas, and I really appreciate the one going from democratic dialogue to democratic dialogues, and also how to evolve on democratic arenas. Michael, you have been visiting more, and both you and Batula, who you work together with, you have been connecting those arenas around the world. What are your thoughts about what Dominic's talking about?
Yeah, certainly. Like it's a humongous conundrum and challenge. How do you steer a ship like the Earth with 7 billion people on it, with all different mindsets about how should we rule the planet, or should we be ruled by everyone, or one leader, or everything in between? And there's no right answer there, because we haven't gone into the future where we actually make it. So we can only understand this in retrospect. So then we have to take all the experiments we have today. Every nation has their experiment how to rule or steer a country. But if we start taking that experiment of every country and start learning from each other, and have a humble build a humble network of people helping every other country to experiment and learn from each other, I think that's the only way forward. So we have to continue the experiments we have today, but we have to open them up for learning from others, I think.
I'm thinking, Mia, I mean, you have been project managing, project leading the Almedalen week for how many years? I don't know, a couple of years at least. What do you think when you hear this?
That should be my fourth. My fourth.
Yeah. What do you think when you hear those thoughts about? I mean, we have talked about everyone is invited. How can we involve more people? And also on a more like philosophical level, what is democracy? I mean, what of those are on your table as project manager or project lead for Almedalen? see if we still have Mia there. We can maybe we wait with that question a little bit because
I think 20 just the way we have to go. We have to open up. We have to get to. We have to include more of the groups, both in Sweden and of course outside Europe as well. And I think I don't really agree that we don't reach everyone with the digital media, because I think, especially in Sweden, most of us have some kind of a smartphone, and we can be a part of discussions like this. I think it's not the technical issue. I think more you have to be, what do you say, feel welcome. That this is for you as well. Actually, I'm here in Almedalen with a couple of a group. They felt that they were a part of the events here, but we need to invite them and say this is for you as well, and it's for you over 80 as well. It's for all of you to be a part and attend the events.
So then I have a question for you, Yasemin, then, because if we can include new groups, whatever group we include, I don't know, what do you say when you look into the program that you have created? Have you been able to include new groups? Is it possible? Are they interested? What happens?
I would say that it's really easy to include groups, because what you have in Almedalen as well is that most of the organizers have those who you want to include, you have them on stage. And then, of course, as I said before, you have a problem because you can't bring everyone over. But in a digital world, you can actually have everyone on board, because you can have them online instead. So that you don't have any excuses anymore to don't include the people you are talking about on stage. So, and I would say that to ask people to join, it's not a problem. I mean, people often say yes, whether they are whatever age or background or whatever. We have had kids here from fifth grade. We have had elderly. I mean, we have had a lot of different people, and so I wouldn't say that is a problem. You just need to really maybe have a little bit thought through who you want to invite in the talk and who you want to reach out to with your talk. And a good thing about the digitalization or how we do it today, for example, and I hope that this could be also used in the future in Almedalen, is that since this now is natural in recording it, and we have it online, it's already there, it's already produced. You actually have a piece of seminar, information, debate, whatever you want to send out. So you can actually reach people so much more and often and on a much longer term. And actually pinpoint those you think should listen or be part of it, and actually continue the discussion afterwards. So it's not a one-off. So I think if that could be added as well to the ordinary, so to say, Almedalen arrangements, I think we could reach so many more and include so many more.
Thank you very much. So what we are actually...
We lost.
No, I don't think so.
I agree with you.
Yeah. And what I'm thinking here is that we are actually test bedding right now for Almedalen 2021 and forward, and we're also test bedding Commons Valley as a way of taking those ideas. I mean, we have already seen Folkemødet in Bornholm in Denmark, and also in Arendal week in Norway, and I mean, maybe this isn't the only way to do it, of course, but it's you have so much knowledge in Almedalsveckan during 50 years of producing those dialogue arenas, and I would say if we can update those, that would be great. If we can just add maybe, as you say, Yasemin, maybe some kind of principles that we can work with. That would be a very great interest. Linus, you were about to say something here.
Yeah, I would like to come in here and say that I think it's of the essence that we think about the same problem as we should do when planning all of society, when we design the democratic dialogues or the dialogue forums. The main problem is inequality. It's not equal. The participation in this kind of arrangement is not equal, regardless of where you live, or how old you are, or your disability, or your your social economic background. The upper secondary school went to distance teaching and learning this spring, and it went fairly well, but there is an experience there that we should bring to this kind of discussions, being the distance teaching and learning is not on equal terms, depending on which social economic background you have. So as in every societal discussion, we need to remember that we plan for equal participation.
I really love that, and what you're actually talking about there, if I can just rephrase it maybe, would be like one way of doing a democratic dialogue is physical, another way is digital, and both are having their pros and cons. But if we mix them, we also get new ways. I mean, a third way would be, for instance, tomorrow we're going to have a workshop which is broadcasted digitally, but it's done physically in at least 3 spots. So we have the ability to distribute ideas or distribute dialogues. And that would be of interest. I mean, next year maybe we can have the studio, Altitude Meeting Studio, live on Allmännadalen, Commons Valley, and the Ship of a New Story, and we can all be part of Almedalsveckan. That would be great, I guess. Hopefully that is possible. I mean, at least I can imagine it, so it would be probably possible. And yeah, you wanted to say something
Stellan.
here, Michael? Yeah,
sure.
You can go first, Dominic.
I think Michael goes first.
Okay, Michael.
Okay, so my thinking about this, there's a lot of talk about what we call lifelong learning, and but most people I talk about this still think this is about like updating your professional skills and your talents, but it's a much wider problem and challenge than that, I think. So we're part of a program called Learning Society, where we actually think about what is it to update the whole population in the democratic skills, the social skills, what we call the life skills, so 21st century skills, like how do you become a better human, how do you become a better parent, how do you become a better friend, how do you become a better co-worker, how do you become a better citizen, and all that stuff, and all the skills and the mindsets we need to do that. And that is something we have to do on a broader scale. This is like the biggest challenge of whole global society. So the people talk about it, the meta challenge, or the meaning crisis, or the meta crisis, people like this. So this is a challenge we have to take very, very seriously. How do we update the skills and the talents of every human being on the planet so they can participate in a society or on a level that they have the opportunity to do. So we have to also enable opportunity to everyone to participate in this way. So, and that's a story. That's the thing we have to do through change of culture. We have to use a lot of storytelling and narration to do this. And also like a lot of talk about mindset and wisdom that we talked about before. So this is a search for wisdom as well for every human being.
Thank you very much. And Dominic, you have some thoughts also on this?
Yeah, I just think it's worthwhile pointing out that the thing that we're talking about is already happening daily in millions of forms, in pods, in different kinds of YouTube clips. And I think the shift here is that there is no longer a monopoly on broadcasting. That changes dramatically with a networked reality in the platform world. Anybody has a microphone and can actually have these conversations. For me, the issue here is the stuff that is being discussed in the so-called democratic arena is not interesting to the people who are having those conversations daily in other arenas, because they don't feel like it contains any meaning. They don't feel like they have any influence. There is a very, very deep mistrust of political processes and democratic processes. And that conversation we have to have, and that we have to include more people in it. And that's a very, very tough call. It's a tough challenge.
You want to say something on this?
Yeah, well, I would just fill in or come with a comment. I hear you talking about meaning or people finding it meaningful to participate, and I think it's the question is, how do we go online with the people's movements, because that's the reason why democracy has such a wide acceptation in the Swedish population. I think it's based on people's movements. It's organizing workers or organizing farmers or organizing getting together, discuss and actually have an impact because we get together. How do we do that online? I think that's the main question, and that's not. I have actually no good answer, but I think that's the question you're phrasing here.
I would like to actually.
Can I interrupt?
Yes, definitely. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, because I need to leave you. I have my group of youngsters here to take care of. They had, what do you say, they got something to think about when I started the meeting with you, and that was if they were the prime minister for a day, what was a decision they would take, and also if they had the opportunity to arrange an event, what would that be about? So I need to follow that up before they had to leave. I'm so sorry.
Yeah, but if I can wrap it up here, and so we can leave in the same state, all of us, or at least in some kind of state, I would say what we are talking about now is test bedding something, and I would say both me and Yasemin, we, as planning for this, we would like to hand over to you the learnings we have done during this year. So we will get back to you, Mia, on the learnings, and so far you're actually taking part in these learnings, and I really and I enjoy that, and I say thank you very much, Mia, for being part. And now you can leave for the kids. So and the rest of us, we will also wrap this up and hopefully encourage more people to be as curious as starting new dialogues, and maybe we can merge them. I don't know how it will look like, but I mean, this is in many ways called life. We have new things coming up and we connect the dots. And let's do this together, and hopefully we come out with a newer or maybe a better version of Almedalen. Who knows? Thank you very much for taking part in this dialogue. And
yeah, and I will say welcome to Almedalen 2021.
Thank you very much.
We will come.
We will be there, yeah.
Great. Thank you.
Thank you very much, and thank you, Dominic, also, and thank you, Yasemin. I know you have more things to do. Yasemin, you have an intense schedule this week. And thank you, Linus, for onboarding a Ship of a New Story and being here with us. And also you, Michael, also known as Captain Future. The dialogue will go on. There are new forms coming up. Test them. That's the best way to get some knowledge about it. And also invite new people, at least those that are it's all about. I mean, involve those which the questions is about, but also maybe new versions and new questions there. So thank you very much to everyone, and thank you very much for you have been following us on YouTube. And welcome back. In a couple of minutes we will have the daily sonar here on YouTube. Thank you very much.
Thank you, everyone.